All right, let's talk about one of the most fascinating and honestly frustrating characters in all of American theater, James Tyrone. I mean, here's a guy who's a famous actor, he's got land, he's got money, and yet he's completely haunted, totally trapped by a past he just can't shake.
So yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? He's a wealthy star, a matinee idol, but he's obsessed with turning off light bulbs? It just doesn't add up. So what's going on here? To really get it, we've got to peel back the layers of this family, starting with the happy family act they put on for each other.
Okay, so first up, the mask of normalcy. Because to really understand James, you have to first see the performance. You have to see this carefully crafted illusion of a happy family that the Tyrones create every morning.
You know, Eugene O'Neill is so clever with his stage directions. He starts the play at 8:30 in the morning, everything's bathed in this beautiful, deceptive sunshine. It almost tricks you, right? You're lured into thinking, oh, what a nice family breakfast. But that light, it's a total trap. It's deeply ironic, because it's hiding this immense darkness that's about to just explode.
And look at this, they're all laughing and telling this story about a pig in the ice pond. On one level, it's just harmless banter. It's a bit of what you might call tribal solidarity. You know, they're the Black Irish, the underdogs, and they're bonding together against the world. But really, it's so much more than that. This laughter, this teasing, it's a performance. It's noise they make to fill up the silence, because in that silence, the truth might just slip out. So that's the performance. But as you can imagine, it is incredibly fragile. Let's look at how fast those cracks start to show. And it all begins with James and his watchful eye on his wife, Mary.
He says, "You've got your appetite back, Mary. You're a new woman." And, you know, on the surface, that sounds like a sweet, loving compliment, right? But it's not. Not at all. It's actually an act of anxious surveillance. He's not really complimenting her. He's checking on her. He's desperately looking for signs that she's still clean, that she hasn't relapsed into her morphine addiction, and she knows it. For Mary, this isn't love. It's being watched. It's pressure.
And this right here is so important to understanding him. That watchful eye of his, it's on everything. It's on the light bulbs, the amount of food on the table, and Mary's health. And it's all connected back to one thing: cost. His anxiety about her health is completely tangled up with his terror of what it will cost. He's just as scared of paying for another cure as he is of her relapse itself.
So we have to ask again, why? Why is he like this? This isn't just a man being cheap. To get to the real answer, the core of the man, we have to peel back all these layers and look at the fear that started in his childhood.
James calls himself Black Irish, and that's not just a description of his heritage. It's a deep psychological wound. It carries all the weight of the Irish famine, of immigration, of poverty, and facing all that anti-Irish prejudice. And then on top of all that, his own father abandoned him when he was just 10 years old. He had to go to work to survive. That feeling of having absolutely nothing and no one to rely on, it never ever left him.
And this is the absolute key to his entire character. It's what we can call a famine mentality. It is this intense, lifelong fear of poverty, of ending up in the poorhouse. So for James, being frugal isn't about greed, it's a survival mechanism. Every single dollar he saves, every light he turns off, it's like he's adding another brick to a giant wall he's building between himself and the memory of that childhood terror.
You know, in this play, what's not said is often way more important than what is said. The iceberg model is a perfect way to think about this. The text, that's what the characters actually say. It's the little tip of the iceberg you see above the water. But the subtext, that's the massive hidden part underneath. It's what they're really thinking, what they're really feeling, and that's where all the truth is buried.
Okay, so here is a perfect example of that famine mentality in action. Look at the text. He says his son Edmund just has a summer cold. He's brushing it off. But what's the subtext? It's pure, unfiltered panic. He's terrified it's consumption, tuberculosis, and his mind is already spinning, calculating the cost of a sanatorium. And then you see it, his deepest fear bubbling up to the surface. He will not end up in the poorhouse. He'd rather send his son to a cheap state farm than spend the money.
So what's the price of all this fear? I mean, this trauma doesn't just live inside him. It poisons everything. Let's look at the devastating consequences his fear has for his entire family.
Yeah, this quote nails it. The real tragedy isn't just the bad things that happened in the past, it's that they can't be honest about them now. James's fear creates this fog of denial that just suffocates the whole family. They can't see each other clearly, they can't face the truth about Mary's addiction or Edmund's sickness because they're all lost in this fog.
But why? Why live in this fog of denial? Well, because for them, it's a survival mechanism. To actually say the words out loud, to admit to morphine addiction and consumption, that would mean admitting that the family, as a unit, has completely failed, and that's too much to bear. So instead, they cling to these lies about summer colds and getting better, because the truth is just too catastrophic.
All right, so let's get practical. If you're doing something like the light bulb debate, how do you actually build a defense for James? How do you take all this analysis and argue his case for him?
Here's the key. You have to translate his text into his subtext. Your job is to write his inner monologue. You've got to get inside his head and speak the brutal, unfiltered truth that he himself is too afraid to say out loud. What is he really thinking when he's turning off that light?
Here's a really simple 3-step way to do it. Step 1, state the action. What did he do? He turned off the light bulb. Step 2, connect it to the fear. Why did he do it? Because he remembers the poorhouse. And step 3, write the justification. What's he telling himself inside his head? Something like, $1 saved is another wall against the darkness. You have to show how, for him, this isn't cheapness, it's survival.
And that brings us to the final, essential question you have to grapple with. Is James Tyrone a monster? A man whose greed destroyed the people he loved? Or is he a victim? A man so traumatized by his past that he was doomed to repeat its patterns? There's no simple answer, and that, right there, is what makes him one of the most tragic and deeply human characters ever written.